Hi, everyone, and welcome back to She Plays the podcast. I am super excited to welcome Ashli Payne onto this episode. Ashli's from Bremerton, Washington. She's a JUCO product, Eastern Washington alum, and now plays professional basketball overseas. Ashli, thanks for joining the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So I'd love to hear what your year has been like. Were you supposed to be overseas? Were you, and then you had to come back? Kind of what's COVID done to your career this year?
Yeah, it's been crazy. So this time last year, I was in France. I was playing in third division France for this team called Nisa or East Nisa. So I was there, and then their season goes till about May. So, but the whole COVID situation was starting to get really bad around like February. But it was also simultaneously during this time I was like going through like an injury. So like it was kind of perfect timing, but not like for the COVID stuff, of course, but like just everything came at once. So like I was kind of hurt, so I was sitting out, but then that happened. So we weren't playing anyway, so I wasn't really missing a lot of games. So it kind of worked out for me in that aspect. But yeah, basically it all happened so fast. Like basically when the NBA stuff, like he got sick, then the whole world just shut down. So like immediately after that, they were like, the season suspended, and then we were on lockdown. So we had to just go in quarantine, and it was just wild, the transition. Like everybody in France is outside. Like I was in Nice, which is a very like touristy area, and it was starting to get warm again. So everybody wanted to be outside and at the beach and stuff like that. And then they're just like, nope, you can't even go outside. And I was just like, but it's so nice. Like, and yeah, it was kind of sucky. Um, but yeah, so that happened. And then we were just locked down for a few weeks, and I was seeing a bunch of like Americans going home on social media and stuff. And then I was basically going back and forth with our staff talking about like, I want to go home. Like my parents are worried. I'm worried. Like, nobody knows what's happening. So it was just like hectic, like trying to get home. I thought I was going to get stuck there, um, along with my other like teammates who aren't from the country. Like I had a teammate from Serbia who actually got stuck there for like months after everything. Like she had to stay there the whole summer because Serbia had very different rules, and they're like, you're not a high priority, like we know you're safe, so we're just gonna try to get the other people who like don't have housing, and we're gonna get them back to the country and you can just stay put basically. So yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to fly home, and yeah, like I just remember the whole experience of like getting to the airport and everyone, like it was empty and it was scary, and I didn't even know like if my flight was gonna get canceled last second, because that's what was happening. Like you could see all the flights were just getting canceled, and I was like, oh my god. But thankfully I got home, and it was just I was just happy to be there. So then, yeah, we were just like everybody else stuck in the house. But like, it wasn't really different for me because being overseas, I'm on basically quarantine anyway, because I'm pretty much always by myself. But it was nicer because now I'm surrounded by my family and my pets, like way more entertaining. So I was having a blast in quarantine. I don't know about everybody else. Yeah, and so that was like for a few months, and then everything started, opening back up again. And so I'm just like, okay, I don't have a job. I need to find a job. So I was just finding a bunch of like weird, odd jobs. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say weird, but just stuff that you wouldn't see me actually doing. But that's usually how I am every time I go home anyway. I just find like any type of work that I can just to stay afloat. And then on the side, I have like I'm looking for basketball overseas, trying to get back. But during this time, I switched agents as well, so everything was just like changing. I got a new agent. He's an American because previously I just had like European agents. So during this time, I basically told him, like, I really just want to, if I go back overseas, I want to be 1000% comfortable. Like, I've been playing for 3 years. I know what I want now, and I'm not going to settle because it's way more mentally like training than people understand. And um, so if I'm going to be somewhere for 8 months, I need to like love it or else I don't want to be there. So that's why I'm home right now. Like, I'm still waiting for that like opportunity. And I'm okay. Like, I'm around my family. I have a job at the moment. So hopefully with my patience, I'll find something that I actually like enjoy. Like, yeah, in all
Yeah.
aspects. Yeah.
Well, and are any leagues playing right now? I would imagine European ones, if they start back up, are probably stopping again now. I don't know.
No, yeah. Just from the players that I follow, I'm seeing a lot of people who are playing currently. I think it's more like towards the east that
Oh.
are like doing well. I know some postpone their seasons to like November because originally they start like maybe September, beginning of September, but they got pushed back like 2 months. I know that the league that I was in last year actually got suspended. Like, they started normally and then they went on lockdown again.
Hmm.
So their season's like kaput right now. And yeah, I think it just varies from country to country.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And so you were in France this year. You've also played in Australia, is that right? Where
Yeah.
have you
I
played?
played in 2 different areas. I don't know what they call them. I don't know if they're countries or whatever.
Is it a
Australia.
province? I don't know. Is
Yeah,
Canada a
because
province?
they always say like we're the only place that's a continent, a country, and I think those two, continent and a country, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I played in Western Australia, Perth, and I played in Gold Coast, Australia. So my first season, right after school, right after I finished at Eastern, I went to Gold Coast, and it was only like a month and a half I was there, and it was like the best time. It was crazy because going from college ball to like that environment was like so refreshing. I'm basically surrounded by like just the area was beautiful and everybody was so light, like personality wise. Because like East, I mean Division 1 basketball is very intense and
Hmm.
you're on the go, like, and so going from that to that was just like exactly what I needed. um I really want to go back. I'm waiting for them to be like, Ashley, come back. They say it all the time, but it's just like the timing has been
Yeah.
difficult. That's kind of my goal now. I want to go back to Australia and play in that semi-pro league, and then hopefully go play in Europe like after that,
Cool.
because that's what I did my first 2 years. I played in Australia, Europe, Australia, Europe, and it was a lot. Not gonna lie,
Hmm.
but it was also very enjoyable. Like, um, but at one point I was just like, I miss my family, so I need to stay home.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's been something that's been so eye-opening for people this year that weren't familiar with female professional basketball players, of how little break they do get if they are trying to have this be a career.
Yeah,
And like, I don't know if you saw the Suber Diana Taurasi Instagram live thing, but they were talking about how, yeah, they basically lived in isolation for a decade when they would go live in Russia or, go play overseas, because that was it. You go to practice or play a game and then you go home.
yeah.
But yeah, could you talk about what that life is like? Like, you know, having to come home and have a career here or a job here, but you're a professional athlete. Like, to me, it's just like, what? But it is reality. Like, and that's what we're hoping to help grow and change.
Mhm.
Um, but what's that like mentally and physically? Like you said, I mean, does your body just get worn out?
It's I could say a lot on that. One thing is it's like when I'm overseas, sometimes I feel like, wow, I don't know if this is what I want to be doing. Like, I don't know if it's like fulfilling me with my purpose in life, because I'm like, okay, I get paid to play basketball, but like I come home, I'm chilling, I'm waiting to practice. Like, it's like mentally like feel like I'm not really contributing, you know? So I go through that a lot. And that's why I'm thankful for this time, like this huge break that I've had, because I've just like, I guess I've went for things that I wish I've been doing. Like, because every time I'm home, I'm just like waiting for that next contract. When he's go overseas, training for that. But like this has forced me to like sit down and figure out like what do I want to do, you know, after basketball. If it wasn't there anymore, because obviously that's been going through everyone's minds. Like, are we even gonna have a season? So like, I'm glad that I've had this time because I've been figuring out a lot. And then, sorry, what else did you say? Yeah, I guess the isolation part is a big, because that's what I said to my agent is like, I need to have like another American on the team, because I've been on teams where I'm not like the only one. And not saying like my European teammates aren't great. It's just that having an American and being able to relate on a different level, it is like big, and it's very underrated, I think. Like, it depends, I guess it depends on your personality, but I love having that connection and where we can be like, oh, this is like, I don't know, like little jokes you can make that you can't
Yeah.
have with others, like, that don't know. And that's just like one thing. And it also just reminds you of home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember this post I saw where, you know, people are complaining about quarantine and they're like, we've been through quarantine, like these overseas players know exactly what this is. It's just like you look into the stands and you don't see anybody that you know, or, and it's very sad. But it's like, you know, like if you have a why for why you're doing it, then that will humble you, and you're happy that you're there. Um, so yeah, basically it's just like you have to remind yourself all the time, like what's your why, and like why are you there, and that'll keep you going. And if you don't have that, and then I see like why a lot of people don't go overseas. Um, but I love it, simply because it just allows me to see the world, and I've gained so much wisdom from going overseas, like
Mm-hmm.
the experiences, the people I've met, and not just people my age, like just, you know, older people, younger, like they just give you an outlook on life that you don't ever like, you wouldn't cross where in like your neighborhood or your, you know. And then when I come back home, that's like my biggest thing is like, because I've had these like little odd jobs and like normal, you know, everyday jobs. And it's just like, sometimes people ask me like what I do. And I'm just like, well, I play professional basketball. And I'm always so like, kind of shy about telling people that, because I don't really want them to see me like as different, or I guess like, oh my God, you play professional basketball. Like, yeah, I do, but um, I don't know. I guess I just don't want them to label me as that, or I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to
Sure.
go with.
Yeah. It
But
doesn't define you. It's something that you do, but it doesn't
yeah,
define you.
like I'm here in this moment right now with you, and I feel like every experience I have is like a learning experience. So it's like I learn a lot from people, even when I worked at Goodwill, like, or when I worked with Celeste and Mandy, like, I mean, Mandy connected me to you. So it's like everybody's doing something, and it's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah. Love
yeah.
that. That's awesome. But I'm curious a couple things about basketball outside of the US. Are there different rules? Kind of what's that like? And then how did you go from being in college to then going out? Like, when did you learn about other possibilities of playing professionally?
Regarding the rules, there are different rules. I think they don't like Americans. I'm just gonna say that. I don't think they like us, the refs.
Oh,
It's just like really hard to get a foul sometimes. Like I don't think like the foul is not consistent.
hmm.
And then but that's just a biased opinion of
Yeah.
mine. Um Overall it's kind of the same rules.
Okay.
And I know you can't like yell. I think that's probably anywhere. Like you can't yell like shot or something. They'll
Hmm.
give you a technical right away. Um, like, you know,
Really?
yeah. like, don't say that. Sorry, it's a habit. um, what was the second question? Sorry.
So then, like, how did you learn about opportunities? Because I'm sure, like, WNBA was on the radar, but how did you learn about leagues around the world?
Okay. I don't know the moment that I like actually found out like that you can play overseas. Maybe it was like I think I knew about it because Love and Basketball. You know, she went and played
True.
in Spain. That movie. Um, but I I think it never really became a goal of mine until I went to division. No, it was always a goal of mine when I went to college because I'm like, I know if I go overseas, I might have a possibility of getting more exposure and maybe I can go play WNBA. But I really don't know when that actually started in my head. But what happened was my assistant coach at Eastern is the one that had that connection with the Gold Coast coach
Okay.
because she's from Gold Coast. So she laid that foundation on the table for me. And then from there, my head coach also, you know, linked me up with an agent who I'm not with anymore. Like I've gone through a few agents. I'm very picky about who I collaborate with, I guess. Um, but no, it's been good. Um,
When I love that you mentioned Love and Basketball, because I one love that movie, but I also think it was so neat. It's one of the first movies I've seen basketball wise where it does show a woman succeeding and like going elsewhere. I think that representation is so huge.
I agree. It's yeah, because when you're younger, you don't think about it like that. But now, like we're older, we kind of analyze everything. I think that's big as well. It's not showing like, oh, the guy is the one that like he blows out his D, you know, and he's done for. But it's just like she's the one in the league, and she had a baby. Yeah, it's powerful. I like it too. Because I was just talking to my friend about like I don't really like that movie, but I think it was because of the way he treated her. I was just like, she's about to start. She's about to be a starting point guard, and she's a freshman. Like, why are you mad? Why are you back here to talk to you? Yeah, I think it was just the way he acted. That's why I don't
Yeah.
like
Yeah, no, I get you there. Yeah.
it.
But yeah, so what do you, I mean, what's the hope for 2021? I mean, I know you said you would love to go back to Australia. Is it kind of just waiting till COVID gets figured out?
Yeah, right now I've been talking to a bunch of like old Australian teammates. I'm like, you guys need to keep me updated. Like, if
Hmm.
that ban is what's happening with that ban. I've been in communication with the coach there too, saying like I'm interested in coming back. So let me know. And that's kind of that's what I'm kind of depending on at this point when it comes to going back. But I also have my agent. He's working finding me somewhere to go. I think the whole COVID thing is definitely like holding a lot of people back because I'm seeing a lot of players that stayed home that are usually
Hmm.
overseas. It's mostly because you know there's not a lot of money right now for especially the really good players because you know they're more expensive and the teams lost a lot of money from the whole situation. So
Hmm.
they're probably just waiting to find something worth their time as well. Um, so yeah, the goal for 2021, I want to go back. But if I don't, it's okay because I'm home. I'm building off of like right now I'm managing a gym. I'm studying to become a personal trainer, which
Awesome.
is like what I want to be doing kind of um, outside of basketball. Eventually maybe a strength and conditioning coach. So it's like, and the thing with that is why I really like am motivated to do that is because it's something I can do anywhere. Like
Hmm.
say if I go play basketball overseas, like I can be like I can, you know, work on top of that by just training a few people a week, you know,
True.
and that'll be big for me because it'll uh, give me exposure in that realm, which is exciting.
Yeah. That's awesome. Very cool. Well, I think too, we always end our podcast with the question of where do you hope the future of women's basketball, and I would say men's basketball. I hate kind of like having to put that on there, but the state of women's basketball, where you hope it continues to grow. Because I don't think people realize the league we have here is so short, and so few people that graduate Division I or whatever can actually go on and play in the WNBA. There's just like not enough spots. There are not enough teams.
Yes, exactly. That's why I try to tell people a lot from people from my hometown is like, they're like, Ashley, when are you going to play in the WNBA? I'm just like, you guys, it's only 12 teams. There's literally only 12 teams.
Right.
And you know how many people, that's what, like 100 something girls in the whole entire nation's, whole entire world, because they're recruiting outside of our country as well. And also half of those girls are like veterans and they aren't getting tired. Like, we know that. But I think, you know, just being a fan of the WNBA, like it's going in a very good direction.
Oh yeah.
Um, like the girls are so talented, even the ones coming up are extremely talented. And I don't mind, you know, just keep on rooting them on. Like I don't have to, I think I've changed my goal of like wanting to make the WNBA, but I definitely would love to be a part of it in some way because I just think what they're doing and, you know, how great of, you know, advocates they are for women and girls and just how involved they are, you know, the social justice situations, and it's just beautiful. I think they're just great leaders all around, and not just for women but for people, for humans, of how to act. And it's a great like organization. But to speak on that and like the opportunities that are in America, I I always tell the girls overseas and like how they're lucky, how they can play, you know, at a high level. There's so many teams, so many opportunities just in your country. Like we don't have that. That's why we come over here. That's why we go to Europe, is because we don't have that back home. But there are like these leagues that are popping up. I'm seeing like in the South and the East Coast, they have like semi-pro leagues, which are like, I think that could be the future of women's basketball as well, or these little leagues that instead of going overseas, we can build on those and like put more money into those situations. And hopefully can keep our people home so they can stay close to their families. They can focus more, like, especially if you're home, you're more focused on like stuff like that. You're not worried about like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to talk to my people, like I'm lonely. Like you can have all that in just one. And like there's a league my friend just told me about today called the WUBL, which is, I think it's like a semi-pro league on the West Coast now that looks like it's thriving. There's a lot of college, like really good college players in it, girls in the WNBA that go play in it. Like during their off season, this is what they're playing it. So it's like, I'm excited about that. And I'm interested in playing in something like that as well. Like I'd love to stay home and play. But yeah.
That would be awesome, because then too, like like you were saying, of when you're overseas, sometimes you go play and then you go home and it's like, okay, now what? And it's like, yeah, you could actually invest in your city wherever you are here, and you know, be a part of change and growing that. That would be cool. I'm definitely gonna have to look those up. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I understand why people want to go overseas to play those too, because it's an opportunity that you don't see or you won't get anywhere else. It's like being in the military, where you get to basically travel for free and see the world for free. Like it's a great thing, and I think a lot of people should experience it. But if that's not really your thing, but you love basketball, like options basically.
Yeah.
Like, to have that option and like, yeah, I want to play after college, but I don't want to go that far. Well, this is what you have.
Yeah.
And it's more just giving more attention to those things, because a lot of people don't know about it. Same with it, like people don't even know you can go overseas, you know? It's just educating people on that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love it. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today. And where can people find you on or connect with you on social media, anywhere?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. You can just search Ashli Payne on Facebook. I spell my name different though. It's ASHLI, and then Payne, PAYNE. And then I'm on Instagram as it's Easy Money Ash with a Z. It's like I copied Kevin Durant because he's Easy Money Sniper. Yeah. Yeah, those are my two more active accounts that I'm on.
Awesome. And we'll put the
Yeah.
links in the show notes for sure.
Okay. Yeah,
Awesome.
I really appreciate you having me, and I love what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, we look forward to following you along in the future.
Thank you.